former government officials.
The difference is the theft. It's not a spiritual thing. This is what we call ocular proof.
Does it surprise you? Does it surprise you?
It surprised me. It surprised me. Yeah. It surprised me.
Tonight we'll tell you why the Ghana Institution of Survey say the Saglemi affordable housing project is not affordable and concludes the huge sums were paid when the work had not been duly executed.
FM.
Top Story is brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation build, and Vodafone. The future's exciting, ready. I am Ernest Manu. Now, Joy News has exclusively secured the Ghana Institution of Service report on the controversial Saglemi affordable housing project, as we learn tonight that the state is pursuing a case of financial loss and stealing of more than 114 million cedis against former government officials. Now, in fact, the Ghana Institution of Surveyors in the report recommends that, quote, all institutions involved in the construction and contract management process should be made to account for the financial loss caused to the state, unquote. Now, tonight, Joy News has also secured a copy of a letter written by the Works and Housing Minister to the Police Criminal Investigations Department alleging stealing, financial loss to the state, and other related offenses. Now, these revelations came to light on the Manifesto Tracker on the Joy News channel last night with Evans Mensah, where the Housing Minister, Atachia, first made the allegation that a whopping $114 million had been embezzled. Now, he was then challenged by the minority spokesperson on Works and Housing, Emmanuel Bedra, to back his allegation with evidence. I want you to listen to how this unfolded on the show.
Out of the 200 million that was
and he said embezzled.
Of course, it's been embezzled, and it came through what they were the quantity surveyors will measure wall by wall and everything. I have the full report that, with the greatest respect, is
done by
the Ghana Institute of Surveyors, because our real challenge is that I didn't want to even use an individual. We wanted to use an institution to do this job.
So who embezzled the money?
well, it's interesting for you to know. First of all, the contractors, if you want to ask me, and then those who aided them to do it.
Aided by who?
People have to sign as ministers before monies are paid.
Mr. Collins Dowda was a minister at the time.
Yes.
Has he been spoken to on that?
He's been invited, and that is something that I didn't want to go into that because I don't want to make politics out of it. I'm saying that.
He's invited when? Recently or a year ago?
He's been invited at the beginning of the year.
This year?
This year.
Did he honor the invitation?
He had no choice.
Mr. Bedra?
I'm a member of Ghana Institution of Surveyors. Not just an honorary member. I'm a fellow of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. I'm not just a surveyor. I'm a quantity surveyor by profession. And I belong to a political party. I will not sit in Parliament as a member of the Works and Housing Committee. Then we've all assessment, and then somebody else will say that we have been shortchanged by this by the contractor or by the former administration. Now he says that the institution has given him some measurement, has given him some costing. He has not made it available to the minority.
But you dispute that?
I dispute
that your organization, belongs to this?
Yes. How if you give me 5 minutes, I'll go into my car and bring it. I have it in my car.
Very interesting conversation there. Now, host of PM Express, Evans Mensah, joins me in the studio. Evans, so at this point, the challenge had been thrown. Mr. Bedra had challenged the minister to provide evidence to back that allegation. Did that happen?
So you heard Mr. Bedra challenge him, and then you heard the sector minister say, if you give me 5 minutes,
I'll move to my car.
I'll go to my car and bring the document. So I had to take a break because the allegation is so serious. $114 million that he's alleging has been embezzled. He's mentioned somebody's name. And so I took a break for 5 minutes, indeed exited the building with his bodyguard and my producer, got into the vehicle. After 5 minutes, he emerged with this bulky document. And what then happens is I then asked him then to first authenticate the document, because I had to see that this is a properly compiled report and signed and endorsed and sealed by the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. And so he then...
Very professional
group. He then goes into the specifics. This is what unfolded when he went into the specifics. And then you also hear towards the end the reaction of Mr. Manu Bedra, who had thrown the challenge in the first place.
I alluded to the fact that the Ghana Institution of Surveyors had come out a report showing that what is on the ground, measured against the money received, will bring out a very, very huge figure of about 114 million United States dollars. It is stated in black and white that the amount paid to the contractor is 179,904,7525. And it's stated clearly that the total works on the ground is 64. The difference is what gives you the 104 million. And therefore, the difference is the theft. It is not a spiritual thing. This is what we call ocular proof.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can verify it for yourself. As you can see, the document. So this is your president.
Yeah.
You had mentioned before that you were going to talk to the president.
Yes, I'll talk to the president.
Yeah. This is his signature.
Okay.
So you agree that...
Oh, this is Amaglo, yeah.
Yeah, that's him. And the executive summary, he talked
if you
about...
can make this available, because...
but do you agree that there is a huge amount of 140 million now that the evidence has been provided?
Well, I need to go through it.
On the face of it, it's obvious.
This is what the book is saying. This is what...
Does it surprise you? Does it surprise you?
It surprised me. It surprised me. Yeah. It surprised me.
So that's Emmanuel Bedra, the NDC spokesperson for Works and Housing. Now, Evans, at this point, the minister did say that he was going to give you a copy of that document as well. He promised to send one to Mr. Bedra. Do you have that? Yes.
So this afternoon, his dispatch brought a copy to our offices here. And, well, he had also promised on the show that he was going to give both myself and Mr. Bedra a copy. We don't know if Mr. Bedra has received his already. Okay. But you have it. Yeah, I have mine. Now, the copy he's submitted to us is indeed is on the letterhead of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. It is signed by Dr. John Amaglo, who is the president of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. And this is copied to the Senior Vice President, the Honorary Secretary, and the Honorary Treasury. And it is dated the 4th of September 2020. So this is last month. And it's on the Saglame Affordable Housing Project. Request for an audit of uncompleted affordable housing units at Saglame. And then this is a letter of transmittal. It is a bulky document. I can see that. Of 280 pages containing details of the work that they've done. And we're going to speak to Mr. Amaglo himself just to further confirm what this document is and whether he actually signed that document. But Evans, we've also secured another document. It's actually a letter from the Minister to the Criminal Investigations Department of the Police Service. What does this letter say? So this letter also came with the delivery that we got today. And this is a letter that the Atachia, who is the Sector Minister, writes to the Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, and it's dated the 16th day of September 2020. And the headline of that is a case of stealing, causing financial loss to the state and other related offences of and concerning the construction of 5,000 affordable housing units by Messrs. Constructora OAS Ghana Limited with a government loan of $200 million, audit of uncompleted affordable housing units at Saglame. Now, it then goes ahead to detail the case against whoever it is that the state wants to build a case against. And we've heard from Atachia that it may be the contractor, and the former ministers, of course, the name has been mentioned also. Has been invited already. Exactly, has been invited already. So what is the case? And this letter to the CID, by the way, draws from the Ghana Institution of Surveyors findings. Okay. Now, it actually references the executive summary. An executive summary of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors report put the findings in bullets, and so it's pretty easy to digest. And this is what Atachia is communicating to the CID. And this is a few things. We learn a few things. we learn, and this is according to the Ghana Institute of Surveyors report, that a total amount of $200 million was approved for the Saglame housing project.
Yeah.
The total number of housing units that they were supposed to build with the $200 million was 5,000 units. Now, the land size that he acquired for this was 2,172 acres that was acquired. Now, the total land developed at the time when this audit was done, out of the 2,172, was 651 acres is what has actually been developed, according to the report. Now, this figure I'm about to mention next is the one to pay attention to, because it leads to how Atachia concludes that there has been some embezzlement
of a sort. Yeah.
The Ghana Institution of Surveyors also finds that the total payment to the contractor per terms of reference, amounts to $179.9 million. So that is the amount that has been paid to the contractor. $179 million paid to the contractor. Now, the Ghana Institute of Surveyors also goes ahead to state that total number of house units constructed at the time of assignment, at the time that they went to do the audit, is 1,506 units. That's what they've actually built. Remember that the $200 million project cost was to build 5,000
units. Yeah.
Now, the Ghana Institute of Surveyors says they find that if they built 1,506.
But then, Evans, when you look at point number F, it also gives you some indication, because then you have 200 million being approved by Parliament for this project, an amount of 179 million in excess of that paid to the contractor. But then they go further to look at what the Bank of Ghana had disbursed, and then you realize that from the escrow account, and that will give you a figure of 196 million cedis in excess of that. And so the 200 million cedis is almost gone.
Yeah. And that's according to the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. Now, the report also shows that house units or apartments practically completed but not functional, that's how they term it, out of the 1,500 that had been completed, 668 units they categorize as those units or apartments practically completed but not functional. Now, they also say house units with structural frame completed and painted externally only. So they finished the frame, they painted externally but not internally. The number is 748 units have. And
when this debate started, I did hear the minister say that those buildings are not habitable, and that if you go there, you see the buildings nicely painted, but in there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and you also notice that house units completed up to the floor lintel level is only 16. House units completed up to foundation level 74. But I want to go through a few of the other numbers that are interesting to watch, because a lot of numbers, and I want to bore our listeners with them. Let's go to the essential ones.
Yeah.
Cost to completion, and this is a key thing. Cost to completion of outstanding works and associated civil works for existing 1,506 units and apartments at the site. So this amount is what it will cost the state to complete the 1,500 that has been built after the 5,000.
Yes.
The Ghana Institution of Surveyors put that figure as $32 million. So if the state wants to complete right now,
we have to raise $32 million
to complete the 1,500 that's there. Also, cost of other social facilities indicated in the layout to serve the 1,500 units will also cost the state $8.9 million. Other facilities that you have to put up. Now, cost of statutory connection of water. Remember that one of the key things that when this first broke was that utilities have not been connected. There's no water. There's no electricity. The Ghana Institute of Surveyors says it will cost the state $72.7 million to connect water from the Ghana Water Company to the site. Okay, and $1.2 million to connect electricity to the site. Now, the next figure is Atachia's main point to the police.
Okay.
Total cost of works executed on site, including the desalination plant. Okay. The Ghana Institutional Surveyors put that at $64.9 million. Now, this is where Atachia does the subtraction to see what amount he claims as an embezzled. So the Ghana Institutional Surveyor says, go back to the previous point that we made, that government of Ghana had already paid $179 million to the contractor.
Yeah.
But they found when they did the actual work on the audit that the contractor, having received this money, only has executed the work totaling $64 million. So the question then is, what's the difference? And he says the difference is in what he alleges to be embezzled, and it's written to the police to probe that particular amount. Another thing I found interesting in the report is that is the percentage of work executed in relation to the 5,000 units that they originally got the money to do. The Ghana Institutional Surveyor says only 20% of the work has been completed.
That's in relation to the 5,000 expected.
That is the total number of units that they had to do. Okay, only 20% the Ghana Institutional Surveyor says has been done. Now, and they also say that the percentage of houses practically completed but not functional in relation to the 5,000 amounts to 13%. Okay, and it will take 18 months. 18 months. If government wants to complete the 1,500 right now, it will take 18 months for government to complete it.
So in other words, for the 1,500 we're talking about, the level of completion is 13%.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it in totality, as against the 5,000 expected of the contractor, you're looking at just 20% of work done.
Yeah. So those are the facts. And then they attach a conclusion in this letter to the CID, pointing out the facts as we just laid out, as in the difference in how much the government of Ghana back then paid to the contractor and how much work the contractor had done, which amounts to the $64 million. And then makes the point that establishes a defalcation of a difference, that has to be accounted for, of $114 million. And is asking the CID to probe this. But already, it's important to note that in this letter, the attacher, who is a lawyer by himself, by the way, is already pointing the police to what the state is interested in terms of what they're looking at. 3 things. He says stealing, causing financial loss to the state, and other related offenses. But we'll see how that plays out when the work
So these are the details in this letter written by Atachia, the Works and Housing Minister, to the CID. But you have the original document based on which he wrote this letter, which is the report by the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. And they are making a lot of interesting recommendations there. What are they saying, Evans?
Yes. So I actually discover in the actual original document on page 5, which is signed by the president of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors, that the financial loss Atachia raises with the CID is actually one recommended by the Ghana Institution of Surveyors in their report. I want to read that part for you. It says all institutions involved, and this is under recommendations, all institutions involved in the construction and contract management process should be made to account for financial loss caused to the state. Then it goes on to argue why. It said this is because payments made in the project do not reflect the work executed on site at the time of this assignment. And then they go on to make the point that the total value of work executed to date is $64 million. And they want the individuals, institutions, all involved to be dealt with when it comes to financial loss, so take the money from them. But they also, another important thing that came up, right? Remember that this was the flagship affordable housing initiative project by the previous government. Yeah. The important thing to note there is affordable. It was supposed to be affordable for low-income earners. But listen to what the Ghana Institute of Surveyors, their conclusion on whether it's affordable or not. I want to read that too. It says the specifications used by the developers do not make the project affordable as per low-cost housing criteria, and that some of the specifications could be reduced to ensure that the prices are affordable by ordinary Ghanaians. And that is an important finding.
In other words, the purpose for this was defeated right from the word go once we started purchasing materials for this project.
Well, that's according to the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. They also make the point that the quality of work at the site, though, and this is an important point too, is good. And future works should be supervised to ensure that such level of construction works are delivered on time to reduce the level of any anticipated cost overrun. So they're endorsing the work done. In terms of the quality of work, they say is good.
The 13% that had been done.
The 13% that has been done of the 1,500.
1,500. Yeah.
But also, another thing I found interesting is the Ghana Institute of Surveyors also conclude that the initiative of constructing the affordable housing units is laudable. Okay, they laud it. It is to be noted that if the family of 3 across board, it is to be noted that for a family of 3 across board, the estate could accommodate 15,000 people when finally completed. 15,000. That is if they manage to finish all 5,000 units. As many as 15,000 people can go in that. And that is important. Yesterday on Manifesto Tracker, in our analysis with Imani Ghana, currently the formal sector when it comes to housing only produces a range of 4,500 to 5,000 units of housing every year. So, and the NDC in its manifesto is proposing to build 20,000 units low housing for low income over 4 years. Right? But in one project, if it's completed, can house as many as 15,000 people. I mean, so that is significant. I mean, so and again, it's 5,000 units as supposed to do, which is exactly what in a whole year the formal sector produces in terms of housing a year. So this project, that is why you see the Ghana Institute of Surveyors saying it is a laudable initiative. They also advise government to find the money to finish it.
The project.
Because as we've pointed out, they have already told government how much it's going to cost to finish. And it's going to cost it's going to cost us, cost of completion of the 1,500 currently will cost us $32 million to finish the work.
And this is interesting because you also put attention to that question of what he has done or what the Kufuor administration has done within this 4-year period as far as housing is concerned.
Yeah, his point is in essence the government hasn't done much when it comes to housing, and his explanation is simply that the government had to put money in free SHS. Clean the banking sector, and so in essence his point was they have not found money to execute the housing initiatives that he as minister was superintending. But then there's a final point that the Ghana Institute of Surveyors had also noted is the question of how much would it cost government if they want to complete all 5,000. Okay. Remember that if they want to complete the current 1,500, it's $32 million. But to complete all 5,000, which was the original intention for which the $200 million was secured, it will cost government currently $192 million to do all the 5,000.
More than half of the original amount that was approved by Parliament.
Yeah, I mean almost the full amount. Almost the full amount. Yeah. That was originally approved to do 5,000.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much, Evans, for bringing us those details. But today, the president of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Dr. John Amaglo, has been defending the work done. He spoke to my colleague, Emefa Pao, on the Midday News.
Ghana Institution of Surveyors, as a professional body, received a letter on the 3rd of April 2020 from the Ministry of Work and Housing to actually undertake a project construction audit of the Seglemi housing project so that they will be able to actually continue the project. And this was actually done by the institution, and a comprehensive and thorough report was actually issued out.
Now, I'm curious about what you found during that audit.
With all due respect, the document is a voluminous document that was actually done with experts. As I can say, Ghana Institution of Surveyors, we have been doing value for money project auditing. This is not the first one that we have done. So if our client, who actually gave us the work, need any clarification, we should be able to actually do the clarification to the best of our ability. But for now, the report as it is, if there is any portion that somebody wants any clarification, we are ready to do that.
So we want clarification on a few things that have come up so far from that audit that you conducted.
For now, I may not be able to speak to the nitty-gritty of the report.
So in summary, I'm sure you have an executive report, a summary on everything that you found. Amongst others, we are told that $100 million were embezzled by the contractor under the previous administration. What do we know about that? Is that a true representation of what you found?
Please, the document is in parts, and the executive summary, anyone who read it can put any interpretation to it. But the good thing is that the project is existing on the ground. So whatever come out of our findings, they're there. Anyone can put any interpretation to it. The terms of reference is to do construction project audit so that the project can be continued.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The findings we have, they are physical on the ground, and I am not in the position to speak to the details. That's why I'm saying that anyone who does not actually understand any portion of the document, if our client gives us the permission to actually meet with those questions, we'll be able to answer them. But now the document speaks for itself, and I want to leave it at that. But the details are in the report for everybody to actually get hold of it and read.
Okay, so the work that you've done, finally, Dr. Maglo, and what you were hearing about the work that you've done, does it correspond? Is it a true representation of what the work that you did in terms of what you've heard out there?
I'm not ready to speak to the word environment. That is my problem.
Okay, but what are you ready to speak to?
I'm saying that as far as the project is concerned, our findings that are well documented in a voluminous report can speak for itself.
And so that's the president of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Dr. John Amaglo, speaking there with my colleague Emefa Apao, and we'll be hearing more on the housing issue later on Newsnight. We'll also tell you about the Joy News Habitat Fair, which has been launched, and the mini clinic starts this weekend. We'll be hearing from some of our exhibitors on what you can expect. That's it for Top Story, brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasam, the nation builder, and Vodafone. The future's exciting. Ready? Isn't it amazing when your network cares about you so much that they do amazing things for you? You guessed it right. I'm talking about Vodafone cards dropping all charges when you send money to all networks. Yes, you heard right. It costs nothing, absolutely nothing, when you send money via Vodafone cash to all networks. Just send any amount as many times as you want to any network and pay zero charges on the money you send. So go ahead, make payments, show your love, make contributions, send money to all your networks via Vodafone cash, and you dial *110# to send that money for free. Vodafone, the future's exciting. Ready? I am Ernest Manu. Newsnight is next after this break.